Alexa, play Nothing New by Taylor Swift.
I'm Brianna.
I'm Brittany,
and welcome back to another episode of Twinfluence. We are wearing these birthday crowns because this is one of our last days of being 22. We actually have 2 more days of being 22, and then it's going to be our 23rd birthday.
A lot of mixed feelings around turning 23. I almost said 22. That is why we started at the top of the episode by saying play Nothing New by Taylor Swift and Phoebe Bridgers because, yeah, I don't really know. I'm kind of speechless a little bit.
And if you don't know what that song is, start off by streaming that song and then coming back here so you know what the context and what we're talking about with that song.
If you don't want to do all that. Basically, what the song is about is she's talking about she's getting older, like Taylor and Phoebe. They're both talking about getting older in the music industry and how they're constantly looking for new talent. What's the next big thing? How being young is so praised as like, oh, that's the next big thing. That's the next best gymnast. That's the next Taylor Swift, whoever. Like, it's always like somebody up and coming that people are like rooting for, talking about. And then they kind of forget about people that are older because they're like, you're old, like you're washed up, like things like that. So they both are talking about the feelings that they are getting older, not necessarily old, but like old for that industry. In the bridge, she's like talking about she's gonna meet the younger version of herself, and she was like, the part that is like everything, and she was like, I'll say I'm happy for her, then I'll cry myself to sleep. I feel like that's like the perfect line because it's like a dichotomy. Like, you're happy obviously for like new people, new talent, but like you're sad that that's not you anymore.
But before we get more into the episode, we're going to start with our highs and lows for the week. My high for the week is that it is our birthday week, so that's going to be the thing I'm most excited for. And I'm also excited because I'm able to get off of work that day, so we're going to have like a whole fun little day, and it's going to be a whole vlog, so stay tuned for that. A low for the week is that it's really been rainy the past couple of days here. It's like really gloomy, and it's like reminding me of like January or something. I'm like, it's August, it's supposed to be sunny, fun, vibrant, but it's been like really just gloomy, and all around like my mood has kind of been down. So that is my low for the week.
Let me tell you guys something me and Brianna did to me this week, actually. Speaking of you getting off
Something
of work.
I did?
Yeah, speaking of you getting off of work on this Friday.
Oh.
She was pranking me, and she was telling me she wasn't going to be able to get the Friday off, which is our birthday, which I was sad because we literally do everything together. And also, we're twins. Like, why wouldn't we want to celebrate our birthday together? I was like, I'm just going to be here by myself. Like, it's going to be so sad. Like, I was like, I'm going to have all my blinds closed. Like, I'm going to just be crying all day. She let it go on for the entire day. And then I got here, and we love the seaweed snacks from Trader Joe's. So she was like, I went to Trader Joe's. Like, I got the seaweed snacks. Like, I put them in the cabinet, whatever. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna take my shower. And she's like, well, like, go get the snack. Like, you should like eat the snack or whatever before you take a shower. So I like opened the pantry, and then we had the birthday cake mix she had bought. And I was like, why did you buy this? Because like I was thinking, like, she was saying we could celebrate our birthday earlier, like a day we have off together. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So I thought that's kind of what we were doing. And then she was like, for Friday. I literally started crying. I was like, oh, like we get to have our day.
Yeah, we love messing with each other like that.
My high for the week is definitely that we get to spend our birthday together. Also, our friend is coming this weekend too. And it's so ironic because she didn't even, this is going to sound bad, like she did know it was our birthday, but like it wasn't really on the forefront of her mind. And she texted us and was like, what are you doing the weekend of August 9th? And we're like, that's our birthday. And she was like, okay. And then a low for the week is definitely going to be, I don't want to copy you and say the rain, but like the rain, like, I don't know, I think it's like a tropical storm or something coming through, and the rain just, it's gloomy. Like, I literally told Brianna this morning, I was like, it literally looks like it's a Monday in February. I really want to address my shirt because I feel like it is definitely giving very much Leo season. It's literally a pink baby tee, emphasis on the baby tee because I give very much Leo. That says iconic. I don't know, it's giving very much Leo. Like, all the Leos in the comments are gonna be like, period.
I think that we should go ahead and get in the episode before we ramble on any further. And we've already started talking a little bit about getting older and our feelings about getting older. I feel like I have mixed feelings about getting older because I feel like when you get older, like you learn more life experiences, and like you just have more memories, and just like you learn things you wish you knew when you were younger, and then like they're like useful life experiences for you.
I don't know how many times I have said, like, I wish I knew this 10 years ago. Like, I would have done my life so differently. Like, if I had known this.
I feel like I didn't really have struggles of getting older really until after I hit 21, which was like 2 years. 21, you're excited, you finally get to drink, go out, out, clubbing, everything. And then after that, it's kind of feels like it's downhill from that. But it's really not, because as I was saying, you gain more experience in your life and just stories to tell. It's not really even like a bad thing. I feel like this year I'm kind of trying to look more at it positively, even though when I think like I'm like 23, like when I'm telling people like that's really not even that old of an age. But like for me, because I've never been 23 before, I'm like, oh, another year older. But I'm just trying to kind of think of it as something more positive. And also, aging is you getting closer to where you want to be, where you're meant to be. So I just also try to look at it like that, so I don't feel upset or like I want to cry or something. We're gonna jump right into the episode. I didn't originally even have this idea planned for this episode, but I see a lot of these videos on YouTube and I just like the wisdom that people give during these videos. So I was like, I think that this would be very fitting. Today we're gonna be doing 23 things we wish we knew before turning 23. The first one is going to be you can't change other people's perceptions of you. I've literally struggled with this, but it definitely has helped me to be working in a customer service oriented business. That this is so true, and I'm glad that I know this now, because I feel like I'm still kind of at a young age to know this. But people are going to have their opinions of you, and they're going to have their views of you, like just how you have views of everybody else. I don't know what it is, but like sometimes you just have like certain perception of people, good or bad. I'm more specifically talking about right now like bad, and like you really don't even know why you feel this way toward them, but you do, and like nothing that they do can change how you feel about them. It's been helpful for me to know that this is true and not really get caught up in trying so hard to be everyone's cup of tea, because you're not going to be. Piggybacking off of number one, number two is going to be some people just aren't going to like you, and that's okay. I definitely, when I think about this, I remember that this is how I feel. There's like just some people that you just don't like, you don't vibe with. And as I said, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You're not going to get along with everyone. And you don't really need to try so hard to get along with everyone, because everyone has different interests, hobbies, things they like, and you're not going to gel with everyone. So you should just try to be yourself, to find your community, and don't try to change to fit in with other people.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna literally drive yourself crazy trying to change yourself to fit in with certain people, because like you just said, everybody's so different. That would just be like really difficult and very hard. And I feel like I also did struggle with that, trying to be different, morph myself depending on who I was around. And then just one day I was like, why am I doing that? Like, it's not worth it. Number three is going to be people pleasing only gets you so far. People pleasing is something that I was struggling with, and I've gotten a lot better at it, because I know that I used to try to overexert myself or do things beyond my capacity or beyond my limits, and not really listening to myself and what I needed, because I was like, I don't want anyone to be upset with me. I don't want them to think I'm lazy. I don't want them to think this, like whatever about me. So I'm gonna just push myself. It's with friends, family, co-workers, or anything. And I feel like it's definitely a dynamic when you are in a situation where there's like an age gap, or there's like a position of power over you. But I know that sometimes people do use that to try to manipulate you into doing some certain things. Obviously, if it is, for instance, a job, like within the job criteria and like within like the regular working hours, obviously that's not trying to take advantage of you. They're just trying to get you to work. But if they're like trying to make you go over and beyond, stay late, do all these other things, and not compensate you for this or whatever, and you're just like, well, I feel like I have to do it because they're my boss, you don't. And one thing about it is they're never going to recognize you for all of your effort and all of this extra stuff you're doing. You're really just hurting you in the long run. I really saw something recently, and they were just like, I'm not gonna overexert myself for a job, because they're just gonna end up replacing me in the end. And I feel like that's so true. We give so much to these other things, people and whatever, and they would not give the same energy back to you.
So I had this therapist one time, and I was telling her about like this conflict I was having and struggling with people pleasing. I was like explaining the situation to her, and I was like, I feel like it's just easier if I just give in to whatever the situation is, because I feel like there's no conflict, everyone will be happy. And then she like just looked at me and was like silent for a second and was like, there is going to be a conflict. It's going to be an internal conflict. And I really reflected on that, because I was like, why do I feel that I need to prioritize conflict with other people over conflict with myself, and like trying to avoid conflict with other people in all aspects at all costs, but not really feeling the same way about doing it for myself. So that really definitely did change my outlook on how people pleasing really just affect me internally, and how that when I give in to people, when I try to change myself or do things to please other people, I'm sacrificing myself at the end. Number four is how people treat you is a reflection on them and not on you. I definitely have learned this in the customer service atmosphere, because the clients or something come in with an attitude, or like they're like angry with with me about things that have nothing to do with me. It's things that may be going on with them internally or just like their personality, how they are. And I used to get like really upset like when a client would be rude or like have like an attitude or get short with me. But then I kind of grown out of that and I just realized, as I said, it has nothing to do with me. It's some personal issues that they're going through. It's definitely helped me to not sweat the small things with them and just brush it off and be like, okay, they're having a bad day, whatever. It has nothing to do with me. They're not really angry with me as soon as they go. Probably like 20 minutes later, they're not even gonna remember this interaction. It like really was just small, minuscule. It doesn't have the intention that it felt from them toward me. So I've just learned to just brush off that small stuff and don't even sweat.
I want to add on to that. There is a creator that I watched on Instagram. I'm going to put her on the screen somewhere. I don't really know what her name is, but she always will say something like really impactful and say, catch it, and then like elaborate on that. And she was basically saying that when you just said like how people react or a reflection on them or something that they're insecure about, she was saying because people get threatened by you because they see something in you that they don't see in themselves, and also they see something in themselves that you don't even see and they feel threatened by it, whether it's like they think you're pretty or they think you're successful or they think you have a great personality or whatever. It's a reflection on them and like something that they feel like they're lacking. It comes from a place of insecurity. And she was basically saying like, because think about it, like even you, like people that you envious of them or something, you're like, why is that? Like, why am I maybe reacting negatively to this person? Like, why is that? And I feel like 9 times out of 10 it's like, oh, they're successful and I don't think I can be that or whatever it is. So I feel like that's also in situations with you, like when people are acting crazy or acting mean or whatever to you, it's because they see something in you that they don't see in themselves, and it's coming from a place of insecurity, nothing that you've done wrong. Number 5, this was literally like a TikTok
It's a
sound.
SZA song.
Oh my god, that sounds horrible. I said a TikTok down. This was a SZA song. SZA was talking, and she said, "Your fear of looking stupid, it's holding you back."
And that is literally so true.
When we reflect on YouTube, and we just started YouTube not even 2 years ago, and we're always like, why didn't we start YouTube earlier? Like, why didn't we start it in high school? Why didn't we start it in college? And we're like, because we were afraid of what people were gonna think, people that we don't even see anymore, people that I don't even think about. I was worried about in high school that these people are gonna judge me for having a YouTube channel, and it just held me back because I'm like, where could I be today if I had started a YouTube channel 8 years ago instead of not even 2 years ago? I mean, it's good that we eventually started, but still, just like letting other people's judgment and a fear of, they're gonna judge me, I'm gonna look stupid, I'm not an influencer, I'm not a content creator, like they're gonna say, is really just keeping you from fulfilling your full potential.
If you have something that you want to do and you're like worried about other people judging you, I challenge you to let it go. I know it's easier said than done, or like just try to ignore them. Especially like we moved like to a completely different state, different area. Like I don't even keep in contact with any of those people. But don't let other people's opinions or judgments of you keep you from doing something that you really want to do. Because as I said at the beginning of the episode, you can't change other people's perceptions of you. So you may as well just go ahead and fulfill this thing that you want to do and be really successful. Number 6 is things happen based on divine timing and not your own timing. This is something I still struggle with doing content creation. If you have a small business or like if you're like climbing a career ladder or anything really, anything that takes time. Success take progress, it takes time, and there is divine timing, whatever your spirituality is. The entity has the perfect moment for when this thing is going to come into fruition for you, and you can't rush it no matter how much that sucks. Trust me, I definitely know that. But there is timing, and that timing is perfect for you. Be patient, even though another easier said than done, and the things that you want will definitely come to you.
Number 7 is going to be your words have power and what you say manifests itself into fruition. This is definitely another easier said than done. I feel like a lot of these are. Honestly, even though we know these things, it's still very difficult to implement them every day. But it's definitely easy to do negative self-talk, especially if you're not exactly where you want to be in life. It's definitely easier to look at other people and be negative, but just know that that is manifesting itself. And it's just because you're just constantly telling your subconscious mind these things, and it's going to start behaving in that way. And what I mean by that is if you say, I'm lazy, you say that to yourself every day, I'm lazy, I'm lazy, I'm lazy. Non-intentionally, it's just going to be your subconscious mind that's going to be doing it. You're going to start doing things that a lazy person does. And then you're going to be like, well, yeah, I knew that I was lazy, but it's because you're constantly telling yourself something. So you're going to start acting like that, behaving that way. That's why I know a lot of people say, say, imagine your best self. How did they dress? How did they eat? What's their routine? Because once you start doing that, you become that person. And that's the same thing with negative thoughts and negative talk to yourself. If you keep telling yourself something, you are going to become that. And I feel like that is just very powerful. I like read a quote one time and it was saying that words are so powerful because you do talk to people, but most of the time you're by yourself and you're in your own mind. Like you have like, I don't even know how many thoughts it was in a day. And if most of those are negative, you're going to start becoming that person that you don't want to be.
Okay, so the next one is something that we actually learned from a YouTube video, and it's this YouTuber that does food challenges named Katina Eats Kilos. So we're gonna definitely shout her out because this is not an original quote. But every time before she does her food challenges, she says, "There's nothing to it but to do it. Let's pull this hair back and get started." Really, just the first part applies that there's nothing to it but to do it. Because I really feel this like every situation that I don't want to do or like something I'm like, oh, this has to be done. I just remember there's literally nothing to it but just doing the action and getting through it, and there's really no other way out but through. So you're gonna have to do it, so all you have to do is just suck it up and go through it.
And I really like this quote because I feel like it takes a lot of the stress and pressure away from stuff. Because I feel like sometimes I feel like stress, school assignments, oh, I don't want to do this, I'm stressed. But there really is nothing to it but to do it. Like there's no reason, I mean, I keep just quoting it, but like there's no reason to get stressed, work yourself up because it has to be done. You're prepared for it, you're ready for it, so you might as well just get started.
So the next one is people will show you who they are, but it's up to you to believe it. So I feel like we put a lot of faith into people being who we want them to be, and it always ends up being a disappointment when they're not that way. So like if someone's like rude to you or like doesn't treat you kind or respect you, like that's who they are. Like they're never gonna respect you for the most part, depending on the situation. But for the most part, if they don't respect you over periods of time, then they're not gonna change. That's who they're gonna be. And it's up to you to make the decision on how you want to move forward with that situation.
Yeah, because I feel like that goes back to you trying extra hard to mold people and who you want them to be. Like, maybe if I do this, then they'll be nicer to me. Maybe if I do this, then they'll be kinder to me. But that's not the case 9 times out of 10. Like, that's just who they are, and they're always going to be like that. There's really no point to go through hoops and try to make them be who you want them to be because they're just not going to be. That's not who they are. It's definitely going to save you a lot of headache and a lot of heartache in the end if you learn this early. It's definitely one of those things that I'm still learning because I do feel like if someone's like mean to me or whatever, and then next time they come in nice, I'm like, well, maybe I was wrong about them. And then they're mean to me again. I'm like, oh, no, I wasn't. But I feel like it's like a continuous cycle. Well, maybe they're not. That is true. Like, that's just who they are. Because if you think about it, nice people constantly show up nice. I mean, they have bad days, but they're constantly showing up nice and kind and doing thoughtful things. And same thing with mean people. They're gonna constantly keep showing up that way.
I know we try to see the good in people. It's really like a hard, difficult pill to swallow, but some people are just rude, some people are just mean, and they're always going to be that way. So there's really nothing we can do to change it.
Number 10, we talked about this a little bit in the last episode of Twinfluence. So if you did not check that out, check that out. But it is going to be mindfulness practices help rewire negative mindsets. I know we spoke about it a little bit earlier when we said when you keep telling yourself negative things, you're just going to keep showing up like that. One way to try to help combat those negative thoughts, because I know it is hard to get out of that cycle of if you're constantly been telling yourself I'm a loser for 23 years, like you're not going to just turn 24 the next day and be like, I'm great, I'm positive. Like it's going to definitely take some work. So mindfulness is just a practice of being present in the moment and being able to center your thoughts into being in the present. So when you're in the present moment, you're also retraining your subconscious mind through mindfulness. So one way we do this is we like to do sleep affirmations. We talked about this last time, but we like to do sleep affirmations, I am statements. Like they have different ones. They have one on feminine energy, they have one on the law of attraction, they have some on money, just different things like that to help you rewire your negative mind so that it is easier for you to be positive in the present state with your conscious mind.
We also talked a little bit about practicing gratitude. So just saying things that you're grateful for in the present day helps to rewire your mindset to make you realize that you do have things that you should be grateful for and things that you shouldn't take for granted. So I talked a little bit about my therapist earlier that I used to have, and this is also another tip she gave me. You can only do the best with what you know. So this was during like the time when I did like an internship for college, and like I would like really get worked up about like all these expectations I felt like, and maybe like I wasn't meeting the expectations of my supervisor. And she was like, well, did you try the best you can? And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, so you can only do the best with the information that you were given and things that you know how to do, how they trained you. You can only do the best in the situation with the tools that they have given you. And that really did changed my mindset. I apply that to different parts of my life today. Like if I like make a mistake at work, like it's not intentional or anything, I'm like, well, this is what I thought. Like I thought I was doing the right thing. I can only do things with the information that I was given that I know. And it helps to take the pressure off because I feel like I was trying to like meet these unobtainable expectations. They weren't even really real expectations. They were just expectations that I had in my mind. And it just helps me to really center myself and to remember that I have good intentions when I'm trying to do these things. There's no negative thoughts when I'm trying to do this. I'm trying the hardest I can, and that's the best that I can do.
With relationships and stuff, like I feel like you can't really read other people's minds. You don't really know how they're going to react to stuff and how they're not going to react to stuff. When you go into relationships, sometimes you go in with the best intention. You go in with, I'm doing the best that I know. I know how to communicate with people. I know how to be nice to people, whatever, but it may not always be reciprocated well. Before we get into point 12, I want to address if the camera has moved at all. We're using our phones and they keep dying or not having enough storage, so it may not be exactly perfect, but I just wanted to address that so it's not like it's crazy if the camera just keeps moving. I stumbled across number 12. I was scrolling on Instagram, which I probably shouldn't have been doing, and I came across a quote that said, sometimes done is better than perfect. And I feel like this was literally perfect for me, no pun intended, because I'm a perfectionist and I know a lot of the time that I get upset with myself or disappointed with myself because I have so many expectations for various different things. And obviously, when you're a perfectionist, you can never really meet those expectations that you have for yourself because it's never going to be right. Like something's always going to be wrong with it. Sometimes my perfectionism keeps me from just hitting submit or actually doing something because I'm like, well, it's not going to be perfect. It's not right. Like, this is not how I wanted it to be. So, like, I have to keep working on it and it's just prolong. So, when I saw that, it was like sometimes just being done with it and completing it and having it done is better than it being perfect because it's never going to be perfect. That goes for anything that you have. For us starting YouTube, it wasn't a perfect time. Obviously, it's never a perfect time, but sometimes just starting the channel, that being done, we get the ball rolling. And maybe for you want to really get into law school or dental school or something, and you're like, well, I'm not perfect candidate for this position, so I'm just not going to apply. Applying, that's better than waiting and waiting till you have the perfect credentials to be able to get into the school, because that's never going to happen because you can never be perfect.
I feel like this next one goes along with that one. So number 13 is if you want to do something, just go for it. Waiting for that perfect timing is never going to be a perfect timing. You're always going to find something. For instance, starting a YouTube channel, like maybe I don't have the right camera, maybe these weren't the right angles, and just prolonging when you could have been already starting it. So it's just better to just start something if you want to do it and use whatever resources you have, the best ability you have, because that's going to be your ability that you're able to do at the time. And like when you do something new, you're going to obviously learn over time, so you're going to perfect and change how you do that thing. So don't let you worrying about if it's going to go right or if it's going to be perfect or perform keep you from actually starting. If you don't ever start, you're just going to prolong, and then you never really would have known where you would have been if you had started when you wanted to.
Yeah, another quote that we saw going along with that was some man posted on Instagram. He was like, the only way you can ever intend for something not to happen is if you don't do anything at all about it or quit.
So number 14 is actually from the book that we were reading. It's called The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And the two main characters were talking about something. I don't really want to give the book away, but the main character, she was like worrying about something. She didn't know if the situation was going to be okay or not. And then the male main character said, if it's not okay, then at least it will be over. And I really do apply this to a lot of times in my life, because if you do have situations where like they're not okay, for instance, for me, if I like had like a situation at work that like I feel like someone was like being disrespectful to me or something, like the situation was not okay, but at least it's over and I never have to go through that again. But I'd like to remember that quote because it helps me to remember to put things down when I don't want to fixate on them, or like to just be able to move on from a situation that happened. I also found this quote that I really liked, and I feel like it also goes with this. Let's say that you had like a bad day, and then like the next day this quote would more apply. Yesterday was heavy, put it down. Just being able to let go of things that like really don't suit you.
One thing that I have really been getting into is just recognizing signs and symbols, and when I'm trying to find out who I am and things that I want and know that this is for me and this is meant to be for me. me. This one goes, you would not be given opportunities or thoughts, ideas if you were not supposed to become that person. When you think about every desire you ever had, you don't just think of random stuff that you want to do. Like for me, I never have dreams of becoming an astronaut. I don't have dreams of moving to Oklahoma. Those are not meant for me, so I don't have those thoughts. I don't have any opportunity to move to Oklahoma. NASA is not hitting me up saying, hey, do you want to come work for us? I have opportunities and ideas and thoughts because that is who I am meant to become. It's just lining up perfectly for me to be able to fulfill that. One thing I like to think about is like when I reflect on our New York experience, I'm like, we would not be in New York, living in New York City, because that's literally crazy. I'm like, do you know how many people want to live in New York City? Or anywhere, like LA, like any big city, like if you're living there, you know how many people would want to be doing that, but you're doing it. And so that means that it's meant for you. Like, we were able to get the apartment, we were able to be approved for certain things, we were able to even come up here to tour apartments, we were able to get jobs. Like, it just lined up. We're meant to be here for whatever reason to become who we were meant to be. Any situation, any job, anything, like you're put in that position because that is who you're supposed to be. If you ever feel like you're maybe straying, like maybe this isn't who I'm supposed to be, but you're constantly getting ideas, constantly getting opportunities, that can show you that you are on the right path and this is what you're supposed to be doing and this is who you're supposed to be.
Don't let other people or don't let yourself feel like you're dreaming too big, because this dream would not be on your heart if it was not meant for you. Also, this can be the opposite side, like things that you thought that you wanted that you don't end up receiving. Also means that whatever that was is not meant for you. For like example, when we applied to colleges, we had a college we wanted to go to that we both were thinking about going to, but we didn't end up getting into that school. It was like really devastating at the time, but then we had like a great college experience at Florida State University instead of the other school, and it just all worked out in the end. So if you feel like maybe you were on a path and then it gets a little bit deviated, like don't start to freak out. Like you're definitely on the path you're supposed to be, and just continue to go forward and move forward and not be stressed if you feel like your life is not going to how you want it to go.
Something bigger is out there for you. So if you get denied from a job, just a bigger, better opportunity is going to come for you.
So the next one is success is not entitled, it is earned every day. And I actually learned this recently. My boss at my job has this quote on her wall, and it says, success is not an entitlement. It has to be earned, and it has to be earned every single day. I feel like we're like in a very instantaneous generation where we want everything right now, and we also expect everything to come to us and not really work hard. I feel like a lot of discouragement comes from if it doesn't come automatic. So it's just a reminder that if you want to be successful in this life, you have to actually work hard and not just feel like it's an entitlement to you. Just let's say like for content, for example. So I feel like if you like post a video every month or so and you just like expect to be like blow up, go viral, but you're not really putting in any work to be successful, it's not going to come. You have to work every single day hard to be consistent, post videos, and then also if you post one video, again, it has to be earned every single day or whatever your consistency looks like.
I feel like with that one, it definitely is easier said than done because definitely, like you said, we live in a generation where it's like, I want this right now. If you get on your phone and the Wi-Fi doesn't work immediately, you're getting out. We don't really have the patience that we should have. So I feel like that one is definitely easier said than done. I'm learning. Number 17 is going to be comparison is the thief of joy. And I feel like this is definitely one that is talked about a lot, but it really is. And I feel like this one is definitely easier said than done because it's really just you're robbing yourself of experiences. So say that you hit a big milestone for you or something, and then you're comparing yourself to somebody else that's, I guess, further and more where you want to be. Well, you're just diminishing your accomplishments and making yourself feel bad because you're like, well, I'm not that person, but they weren't always that person either. They were once where you were. So it's just best to stay in your own lane and to really just celebrate your wins because they may seem like small wins, but they are huge accomplishments. It's like, this is your first time ever hitting this milestone. So it's definitely nothing to take lightly. And you definitely should not compare yourself to other people because you don't know their journey. You don't know where they've started. And it's just really just robbing you of celebrating yourself and being happy.
It's like that saying, you can't compare apples to oranges, and it's so true because you can't compare someone to you because they aren't you. Try to remember that, because I know that it can be, again, one of those things where it's like hard to actually practice, but just remember that you can't compare two things that aren't alike, and they're both good in their own separate way, so you shouldn't compare yourself to somebody else either.
Another thing that I have learned recently is number 18 is that two things can be true at one time and not everything is black and white. In certain situations, like maybe you can be really happy somewhere or think you're really happy somewhere, or like you really like the company or whatever where you're working at, but you need to do what's best for you and you need to leave. That doesn't mean that you necessarily hate anybody or that there's like any bad experiences. It's just like these are like two kind of separate entities, but they're both true at the same time. You like this thing, but you also know that you need to do this other thing because this is best for you. Just not everything's so black and white. There is gray area sometimes in certain situations.
The next one is worrying about something doesn't make the situation come faster or be relieved faster. It only disrupts today's peace. And I really like this life lesson that I learned because there's a lot of times when I'm like stressing about things, like worrying, or like let's say on like Saturday, like I get off on Saturday and then I'm like, ugh, I don't want to go to work. Like on Tuesday, like dreading Tuesday already on Saturday, like it's really just disrupting my weekend, making me dread my weekend, worrying about like what's gonna come on Tuesday. Tuesday is gonna eventually come, but me worrying over it isn't gonna make it come faster or like not come at all. So I've just learned to try to again live in the present and not to worry about things that are outside of my control. They will come up when they need to come up, and it's not a problem of today.
One thing I know Brown and I like to do that, we're like, that's what Brittany tomorrow has to worry about. Or like, that's what Brianna tomorrow has to worry about. Meaning, like, I'm Brittany today and I'm not worrying about that thing that I have to do tomorrow today while I'm watching Netflix or relaxing or something because that's not my problem today. The next life lesson, I recently saw a graphic about it and I sent it to Brianna. So there's going to be like two parts to it. First life lesson is enjoy the little things in life because one day you'll look back and see that they really were the big things. I know that it's like a really common quote, but the graphic that I saw on Instagram was how silly am I to take all of this for granted? And I feel like that's definitely something that we experience, definitely living in a society that is focused on social media. Who has the best this? Who has the biggest this? But I feel like we always take for granted the little things. Having water to drink, having like a normal Saturday afternoon where you just got to hang out with your family and maybe had a picnic in the park. Like it wasn't some big extravagant thing, like TMZ wasn't reporting on you guys doing this. It was a little thing that you guys did and you're gonna look back on it in life and be like, I remember when we did that. Like sometimes Brown and I like to walk near the water here, look out the water, talk about different things, and I like reflect on when we do that because I'm like, that's something that's so mundane, something that's like not like a big experience or anything, like we're literally just walking, but it's still, I'm gonna look back on that and be like, oh yeah, I remember when we walked down here and we talked about this or whatever. So yeah, the graphic was literally just about this little cartoon and they were like just hanging out with their friends and family, like birds flying, sky being sunny, like things like that that we normally just take for granted and we don't really appreciate it because we're like, well, I'm not at the Met Gala or I'm not at the whatever, but we still have things that we can be grateful for and that things that when you look back in like 30 years, you're not going to really care.
Then the next one is to enjoy the journey. We're all on our own separate journeys trying to reach some type of goal we have in mind. I feel like sometimes the journey can be lost because you're so focused on the destination. You want to be to the destination so bad. But the journey, if you think about it, is what shapes you and help you to prepare to be ready for when you get to the destination, because you can't just automatically be at the destination without the journey, because then you would just be thrown into something. With the rise of Sabrina Carpenter's fame, because she's actually been in the media for like actual like years, like she's not just like some random person that just blew up and went viral. She's actually been doing music and like on different shows and stuff. And someone asked her like, how does she feel with all this newfound fame, because she's recently gone a lot more popular with like her new music. And she was saying that she's actually glad that it took her a while to get to this point to be successful, because she wouldn't have known what to do if she got successful and viral overnight. I try to remember that because you really want to be a lot of the time where you want to be instead of going through the steps to get there, because sometimes like the steps can be mundane, it can be discouraging and frustrating, but that is what helps you to prepare you to be where you are going to be, because you're going to eventually get there if you stay on your track, but you have to go through these steps to get to the destination.
Like you said, it gives you all the tools. Like if you think about if you just woke up one day and you were like exactly where you wanted to be, you would not be ready at all. It would be very nerve-wracking. Seems very daunting, but it's definitely teaching you everything you need to know so then you can just flourish in that position where you want to be. Number 22 is something that I struggle a lot with because, like I said, I'm a perfectionist. I do have a lot of anxiety, so I'm always constantly feeling like I need to be doing something. But I feel like there is beauty and rest and stillness. And I feel like a lot of success comes from it too. We live in a society where it's like, what are you doing now? Even if you just graduated from college, what are you going to do next? Like, it's never just resting in a moment of stillness, but that leads to a lot of burnout. I'm unmotivated, I'm burnt out, I just want to rest in my bed. I've seen before, they were like, if you don't prioritize rest, your body will tell you when you need to rest, and it's not going to be a time when you want it to, because it's just going to like conk out on you. I try to prioritize at least once a week. We have a thing we call rot day, where we basically just doing things that are relaxing to you. You're resting, maybe watching your favorite show, reading, whatever is relaxing to you. One day a week, prioritizing something where you're not thinking about, what am I doing tomorrow? What am I doing later today? What did I do yesterday? Just really focusing in on this is what we're doing today. Prioritize rest and stillness, and know that you're not being lazy or anything just because you're prioritizing yourself.
And definitely implementing the rest definitely takes practice, because there will be like a constant nagging in your mind if you're not used to like taking rest or prioritizing, like not doing anything for a day. It may be like a nagging, like you need to be doing, just like a negative mindset in the back of your head. Because definitely when I have these raw days, sometimes I definitely feel a little bit negative, like I should be doing something, but I'm just like wasting time. But it's not really a waste of time, because your body needs to rest. So you need to make sure that you have, even if it's just like an hour or two a day or something, where you prioritize doing absolutely nothing. Number 23 is aging is a beautiful thing. I definitely feel grateful for the ability to actually get older, because a lot of people are not able to get older anymore. So I'm grateful for the ability to have a birthday.
And I feel like we definitely live in an age right now where aging is frowned upon. The younger you are, the better. You look youthful, you look younger, and it's filler this, plastic surgery this, which I think that's okay if that's what you want to do. But I just feel like we definitely live in a society where it's very stigmatized now that you don't need to look like you're above 25. I feel like through people's like frown lines and wrinkle lines and stuff, you can see that they've lived a full, happy life. And I feel like that is like a beautiful thing that we often in society like take for granted, because we're like, oh, you don't want to look old or whatever. But I feel like there's like a beauty in that we also shame people that do look older. And I don't really think that we should do that, because I feel like it is, like you said, beautiful. Not everybody does get to grow and age. And I feel like it definitely just shows wisdom and knowledge and just like a life fully lived.
That is the end of our 23 life lessons we wish that we knew before we turned 23, and life lessons that we're going to continue to practice.
So one thing I am looking forward to in the upcoming week is this is gonna be silly, but Brianna and I started watching a new show on Netflix, which it's not even new. It's Exo Kitty though. But if you've never seen Exo Kitty, it's a spin-off series based on the To All the Boys I Loved Before. Lara Jean's sister Kitty has her own show now, and we're on like episode 7, and I'm like really excited to finish the series. Like, I put it on one day, and Brianna wasn't even really watching it, and then she's now totally invested in. Like, we're both totally invested in this show, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So yeah, well, next time you see us, we'll be done with the series.
I'm looking forward to, we said it a little bit earlier, but I'm looking forward to our friend coming this weekend. She's our best friend since middle school, so I'm excited for her to come, see what New York is all about, have a little fun weekend. We have a low maintenance friendship, so I feel like those are the best friendships. You don't have to talk all the time, but like when you do, it's like you never miss anything. That's going to be the end of the episode. So if you enjoyed it, please comment any of the birthday emojis to celebrate our birthday. And here's to 23.
Subscribe if you want more Lewis Twins channel. Check out our birthday vlog that's coming out this Friday, and we will see you in the next episode of Twinfluence. Bye!